Hello there. Sorry for the delayed start. Welcome to another episode of All Knicked Up. It is Wednesday, January 10th, 2024. Man, already almost 2 weeks of the new year gone. Goes so freaking fast. Can't even believe it. But we have another good show planned for you tonight. Joe will not be with us, I don't think, but possibly. We'll see if he pops on. Hopefully, we get a chance to have his input, but he's traveling. He in between places right now, so we're trying to hold it down until he gets back. But Ty is with us, so let me bring him on. Hello, Ty.
What's going on? What's going on?
Nothing. A lot going on with the Knicks, it seems, but
Sure, yes, sir, yes, sir.
yeah, this has been a interesting 5 game stretch. Um, since the OG trade,
Yes,
or
sir.
the and I have to say, they do look good. Uh, very, you
Yes,
know,
yes.
when when you remove two big pieces of your offense like they did,
Mhm.
sometimes teams struggle, but this has been a seamless transition for all the reasons we thought it would be and stuff that we talked about. More space, obviously, on the floor. Uh, he's a player who doesn't need the ball to be effective, so that's another thing that kind of I just saw Craig's comment.
Me too.
Uh, that's another that's another thing that is beneficial because we have our two best players are very ball dominant players. So, to
Exactly.
have a guy who can fit in and just pick his spots and get in where he fits in, right? That's the term.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh so I put this is my lead in for this topic, five and OG, because that's what they are right now.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so for all the reasons I said is what is the positive things, but I have the question there. Is this sustainable? Do you think it's a sustainable thing going forward?
No, I mean, I'm a little. I'm looking at this now, and we posed the question last night. I think we were all chopping it up, talking with regards to. I said, right now, this is we're one of the better teams. Yeah, and you emphasized the key word right now. Because that is exactly what it is. Not that I look for the bottom to fall out of this. I'm just also looking at the fact that there's always attrition. There's always something going to happen to maybe change the plight. I mean, so far we've beaten two of the better teams according to league standard, in Philadelphia 76ers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. But, they are also starting to plateau themselves. So I don't know how much stock to put in that the Knicks are ascending to be that much better than them, as opposed to those teams maybe coming back down to earth a little bit in the standings, which could be very possible because they've been dominating for most of the beginning of the year. So the Knicks they're playing probably the best basketball I've seen them play during Tom Thibodeau's tenure, because it's on both ends. It's very fluid, the offense. We're seeing the defense clearly pick up with OG Anunoby. But read the caption of my name. I said iHeartRadio Raheem. That's my dude. iHeart has now been playing. He's that dude. He's been more the dude than to me than OG has. Big ups to OG and etc. But and actually, iHeart showed him some love, saying that he makes life a little bit easier, or a lot easier on defense with his presence alone. So we get the whole thing, what he was going to bring to the table. There should be zero shock about that. If you get the benefit of any offense from him, that's a huge bonus. Like the other night, he was like, I called him OG Ellie because he was hitting all the 3-pointers, from the corner. He was knocking down everything, and that if you can get that from him, and you can get the defense on top of it. I'm not saying that they're going to go on some wild 15-game winning streak, but I think the Knicks will play above board against and beat a lot of good teams, and some of the supposedly quote unquote great teams that are out there. They're going to give them a run for their money, because the one thing that has changed to me about the Knicks, outside of the defense looking better and offense, it's really how they're coming out with the right intensity. They are punching people in their mouth. I didn't say mouth. I didn't use the TH. I said their mouth. They are punching people in their mouth like a schoolyard bully right now and taking everybody's lunch, because that intensity level that we often talk about with the New York Knicks, where we don't know if they're going to come out flat, how the third quarter is going to be. You know, we have all these peaks and valleys with them. You know, really, literally an emotional roller coaster when watching them on certain games, wondering which team is coming out tonight. Well, for this last 5 games, the team that's willing to come out punching and throw the first couple of haymakers to try to really knock you out of the box early in the game and then keep punching until you really surrender, that's what we've seen from the New York Knicks, on top of the fluid offense. And obviously the defense is always something preached. I've been very shocked about the ball movement, the fluidity of the offense. I don't know what changed. I brought that up the other night. I don't know what changed. I don't see what OG is doing other than being efficient from the corner 3. But it just seemed like this team, when Barrett and Quickly left, was like, oh, now let's break out that other playbook that we've been hiding from the rest of those guys. Now that they're not here, let's go play. Because I don't feel like Barrett or Quickly were incapable of playing the style that we're seeing now. It's more so I'm like, well, why now? You know, why is it now?
Right.
Why was this not before? Why Brunson wants to be a point guard now and get his games with back-to-back double assist, double-digit assists? It's like, I don't think the personnel changed that much. I mean, I would bargain to say that combining Emmanuel Quickly and RJ together, definitely from an offensive perspective, they're more talented than what OG is. It's just more so, it's like, why now? Why are you finding these targets better now? I know OG's a bigger, taller stature dude. He does cut very well. He's looking to move without the ball a lot more. But I never felt like RJ didn't want to move. It just seemed like the offense always stalled. So if we're seeing this version of the Knicks, then they're going to be a tough team down the line as long as they can stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a great point, because I remember when RJ was on the team, and there were times he would cut, and I'm like, why are they not passing him the ball? Because he would make a smart cut, and they would just hold it. I don't know. It's very strange. You're right, how this has looked since this, because normally there's a transition period, right? When you have a new guy coming in, there's a little bit of a transition period. He doesn't fit in right away, and it takes him a little time to get acclimated to the offense. But there's been none of that, and that's a credit to him as well. Like, he could come in and just do that. That's a credit to him, but it is strange that the offense looks different. It's not that I don't think it's a different offense. It just looks different because he is letting the guys who are good at passing the ball, to me. He's not asking them to save them every possession anymore. He's not saying, okay, go ISO and save us, get a shot. It actually looks like there's some kind of directive to have that motion going, have that motion style offense going, where everyone's moving at all times and there's guys cutting. And I mean, Hartenstein's probably a big part of that as well, because he's such a good passer. Absolutely. So, you can, and that he's a lot better at doing that than Mitch is, obviously. So you have that element added to it as well. But it has been a little bit of surprise that all of a sudden they're starting to play that way. It's been a little bit of a shock to me. Huh?
Started playing basketball?
Exactly. That's the best way to explain it. They're actually starting to look like a basketball team, and not just a big, and one tour where everyone's getting the ball and doing their own thing. Clearly, RJ has ISO, he's an ISO player. He can do that quickly. Definitely, he's more of an ISO player as well. So maybe that's it too, as well. Maybe the fact that Quickly isn't there, his style, he's not that great a passer, and he's not good at those things. So, and not having him there anymore kind of is showing up as well. The other guy I want to bring up is Miles McBride. He's really they gave him that extension. We were all kind of like, that's a little weird. All of a sudden, you're giving him an extension. Well, he's played fantastic. He has played fantastic basketball. He's hitting his shot. he's shooting it with confidence. You could tell like he's not hesitating anymore. Um, he's had some really big games. He seems to have solidified the backup point guard spot for them, which we weren't sure was going to happen when Quickly left. We weren't sure what they were going to do, but he's been fantastic. So they haven't skipped a beat. Grimes as well. You could even throw Grimes in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Deuce has been playing. The rhyme is Deuce is on the loose. Well, he's been on the loose. We've talked about McBride a lot in our private chats. Wondering if he could be the de facto point guard on this team. I don't think it's ever been a question of his work ethic. We've seen him go to the G League and completely tear it up.
Right.
So he's shown that he has the ability to be better than being in a G League. It was just whether or not he can perform consistently with his shooting and his playmaking ability at the higher level. We've seen kind of some glimpses from time to time. Then we've seen him look overwhelmed, during stretches also. So, we've gotten a little bit of a feel that he can do some things. It's just whether or not they were ever going to be consistent. But he got his bag and he was like, well, now that that's taken care of, let me just show you what I'm made of. And, we knew the toughness on defense, former football player. We know he wasn't going to back down from anyone. But, man, that first game he just came out and he was just I called him a young Trent Tucker with defense. That's exactly what he was. He was hitting every shot imaginable from three-point land and, 4 straight shots, just playing with a great amount of confidence in his game. And, I hope so. I like Deuce. We know the toughness is going to be there. We saw a little bit more of the playmaking ability, especially when the ball is. Once again, we talk about the speed and pace of the games. The Knicks' pace has changed tremendously. For those who are not paying attention, maybe watch the speed of how the Knicks are executing on whether it's a fast break or even in the half court. A lot of movement, a lot of sometimes even a little bit more overpassing. But everyone's looking for the cutter now, which is like, what the hell was this at over this season? I'm still.
I know.
It's like when you see a great team game, and like I said, I don't know. It does paint RJ and Quickly a little funny if you were looking at it in that aspect. Like, well, why did they not do that prior? Was it those guys? Which I don't think so. But I'm just seeing the better wrinkles. I don't know. Maybe Tom took the leash off and someone told him, you got to take a step back and let us do what we need to do as players. Maybe he's respected that because it was ISO, no matter what it was, Bronson ISO, Julius ISO. Never really RJ ISO as much. RJ just kind of been, ate what he could eat. But, Brunson and Julius have always been very high, patterns of the ball. So when you see that, now we're like, now nobody's doing that. Now Dante's getting involved. Everybody's a playmaker now. That's the difference. Like everybody's trying to be a playmaker and make the better play and find an open guy. And it's great to watch. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing basketball played at this level that way. But it's just it resembles a modern team. That's what we seem like. We've been dealing in the '90s. You just figure that some '90s hip hop is going to come out while watching this team because they play a very ugly game for the longest time, and now we're starting to see a team that looks a little bit maybe like how Golden State looked at one point, the Phoenix Suns. We'll take that team, the 7-6-11. We'll take any team that looked like they had some sort of competency on the offensive end. But now we're seeing the Knicks play both ends, and they are stomping the damn yard. I've been very impressed with what I've seen, and I don't know. We definitely Grimes has stepped up. Nice seeing him, try to show some consistency. He's a big key factor for this team. We need every bit of what he's able to give us and then some.
Right.
And if he can do what he's been doing, timely shots, the Knicks have built big leads and kind of held on to him. Everybody usually get a little stomach bubble watching him like, oh, we're going to relinquish this. Julius scared me, and I'm going to be honest. In Philly, I was a little frightened because we were up big time, and he went through a stretch of about 10 straight plays where he was like, you want the ball back? And he just was like, hold on. I'm going to tell you what he did the reverse library. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to go do at the other end. I won't execute it. I will fumble it and give it back to you.
Yeah.
He said, he's like, you want to pick the ball for me? You want to cherry pick? I'm going left. He revealed like the whole playbook. But I was laughing earlier. You said about OG Anunoby. Well, he's probably seamless because they stole the playbook in Toronto. So, according to the lawsuit, he should know the playbook that the Knicks are running, which I didn't think it was. Well,
Yeah.
that's what we're seeing. That's why he fit in so well.
Yeah, it's weird that I mean you brought up both Grimes and Dante last 10 games, so not half of the time. Um Quentin Grimes is shooting 46% overall, 45 from 3 and averaging 8 points. Dante DiVincenzo on the season is hold on, I had the stats open in a minute. Um on the season he's shooting 47% overall, 44% from 3 and averaging 11 points per game. So they're getting combined between the two shooting guards that they have. They're getting 19 points per game,
Nice.
um, which especially over the last 10, it's even closer to 21 points per game. So you're starting to see those two guys elevate, and it's funny how things work, right? You don't know what confidence means until you see a trade happen, and then guys know they're going to play,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because the team doesn't have a choice.
Yep.
And then they wound up rising to the occasion and playing the way that we think they're capable of playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a very very nice wrinkle to see and to see this happen for them because I've always liked both players. I
Yeah.
do think they're limited, but I think they're very smart players. They're both really good defensive players, and that's the part that's kind of returned. People were complaining about the defense. Well,
Yeah.
that's been back to what it was before.
Yeah.
And that's definitely because you have a player now on the perimeter who, although he might not always shut them down, he's immediately in the offensive guy's head, right? Like they come into the game knowing, oh crap, they have OG Anunoby,
Yeah.
right? So you're automatically thinking about it, and that always impacts how they approach the game.
Yeah.
So that's a way of neutralizing a guy before he even steps on the court. The mental part of the game is very, very is something that I think gets ignored sometimes. I mean, we talk about it with Julius more than anyone, but that's just because it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But but with it's a big part of sports, period.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been fun to watch. I asked if is it sustainable? I have to I need 20 games, right? I say that all the time.
Yeah.
I need 20 games to see, if this team, if as it's playing right now, if that's going to continue. But they've beaten some good teams. I mean, they beat Milwaukee before the trade happened. And then they came back and they beat Philly after the trade happened.
Yeah.
So they were kind of trending in that direction, I think, and we'll see what happens. But last year, when they got Hart, they won nine straight, right? So maybe just need to make trades every year to go on winning streak. We'll just trade for someone every year.
Derrick Rose prior to that was another one on the
That's
market.
true. Yeah, that's true.
During the bubble years, so yeah,
that's very true. Yeah,
doing that, they found the right piece to spark the revolution there. That's for sure.
It's been fun to watch so far, and I'm glad. And if you've been following, obviously Barrett and Quickly, they've been playing well in Toronto too. So it seems like it's working out for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what you want in a trade. Most people are like, oh, who won the trade? For me, I want both teams to get. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I know people, they scoriated Barrett. I liked his quote the other night. He said that when asked about the Knicks, he said he was part of the winning here. He turned around a franchise, helped turn around a franchise that wasn't that good. And I always had a huge amount of respect for him. We know that, everyone had something to say about the draft, wanting Zion, wanting Ja. I mean, I don't know. Would you want those guys really that much more now, given what you've seen from them character-wise and sometimes the inability to stay healthy for both of those guys right now? Barrett's been a juggernaut literally since being in the league. He may have missed a couple of games here and there, a little bit of a stretch. Don't let him get a migraine. Clearly, we know we don't want him to have those. But other than that, he's went to Toronto, and that should be not poo-pooed upon that this dude can play. We're seeing him as an alpha role. That's what he's mostly been his whole life. Even in Duke, it was RJ and it was Zion. But that was the tandem. He still had an alpha role on that team still. Coming to New York, I think he did great for being a rookie, so young coming in. And we're seeing a lot of the fruits of his labor. He cut his teeth in New York, and now Toronto is going to benefit as well as Emmanuel quickly. I don't think Toronto is going to be terrible.
No.
That's the thing. I think they won the trade and we won the trade, and it's a great thing for both those guys. Those are class act dudes that I'm more than sure when they return back to the Garden on January 20th, they're gonna get their love too, because they deserve it.
I agree, and if you believe the talk, Toronto's still trying to trade Siakam, so who knows? Like they're rebuilding. Obviously, Scotty Barnes is their guy, so I think they're trying to rebuild around him and RJ and quickly. Like I think those three guys are guys they're going to try and build their team around.
Nice.
So we'll see. We'll see how it works out. But again, both teams really have benefited so far from the trades that they've made. So really, that's always, like I said, it's always a good thing to see when a trade happens, unless it's to a team that I hate, and I don't hate the Raptors really. So it's all right. It's okay. They're kind of just there for me.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about them a little bit. And we're going to continue this discussion because it definitely needs to be talked about. When Mitch Robinson got hurt, I think a lot of us, but I know both of us were kind of like, they're in trouble now. Like, and we saw it at first, like the defense was not playing good and they were giving up like over 113 points. They're like 113 points or something like that on average after they were giving up like 100 or something before, 102 or whatever it was. So that was a very alarming. But something started to happen even before OG came. Something started to happen, and we started to see Hartenstein kind of put his stamp and his style of defense on the team. Like I knew he could play good to positional defense, but the shot blocking is not something I expected.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been doing that very well too. So I put this iHeart of the team, obviously playing. You put your name as iHeartRadio Raheem. So we see a theme today. We have a theme today with him.
The radio.
Yeah, he's been like we said about Brunson last year. I think this year we said about him. He's been everything we could have wanted and more. Like he's, you lose a big player, you lose a cog of your defense like Robinson, and then this guy comes in and after a little rough period, they haven't missed a beat. He's been fantastic. The rebounding, again, Robinson was such a good rebounder. Now he's doing the same thing. Like, this guy is very good. He's a free agent. Like, we're heading to a point where they're going to have to make a decision. So, first of all, you kind of said how you feel about him as a player. What do you think they should do when that time comes?
They better sign him. I just think that you can't depend on Mitch moving forward. Love Mitch. It's great to see him be the longest tenured Knick. We've watched Mitch grow up in front of our eyes, literally on the microphone. We went from having a mute to having maybe one of the best interviews in New York sports, to be very honest. I think that he's the guy you want to put a mic in front of and just say, what are you going to say? He's always got an honest take. He's one of the few non-muted players on the Knicks. He's very he wears his heart on his sleeve, literally. When you think about his, we've watched the N1 tours he's put on during the summer and laughed about it, but he has been pretty transparent as a player. Something that as we don't know any of the real Knick players when you think about it. They have gag orders, constantly. You think they're shooting a scene in Pulp Fiction. That's how much they've been gagged, like they're Ving Rhames in a back closet. They don't want you saying a damn thing personality-wise or showing who you are as a person. But Mitch has kind of like avoided that whole, you telling me who I'm going to be. I'm going to be very vocal about, show my passion. And I think the fans, we watch him, have the the exchanges with Berman during the years. He's got a great personality. He's that dude. And we know he wasn't saying, then they had the little, I don't know why they did away with the little interview thing he used to do. I used to love watching that.
I know.
Interview the guys and he catch them off guard. But he was good. He's a great kid and a great personality. But we're at a point now where we need consistency. Health consistency is very important. Like I said, best ability is availability
Yeah.
in the league, and I think that he might be better off. And I know people are going to probably be like, "Oh, we need him." He's better as a backup right now, and that's just going to be my full-time opinion until proven otherwise. Because in watching how Hartenstein has come in, you heard Thibodeau even talk about how he had a hard time figuring out the minutes to play at center because he felt Ihart deserved just as much as Mitch, and he said it was the conflict to figure out who you play and who you don't play. Well, I just think now when you look at the dynamic, we're in an offensive league. I don't think there's no shame that Mitchell Robinson would be your backup center and that this dude should be your starting center because look at the game. Just look at the game. Just look at the game. He was one of the better rim protectors coming in when they signed him. So it wasn't like he could not play defense. It's not like you lack anything. The key thing we heard about was, the perimeter defense and Mitch's ability to switch on everything might be what you missed in Ihart. But now that you got OG, and you can take that fully out of the hands of anybody needing to really be, Mitch was like everything on defense as far as I was concerned. I don't think nobody else was. Brunson occasionally gets his charge, but it was Mitch doing the work of 5 people. Hence why he complained all the damn time, like, well, we're not going to get the damn ball. I do everything but be able to score. So I just think Ihart is a modern day center. Mitch is a 90s center. Probably more of the Mutombo era, kind of player, whereas you need somebody. And if you look at it, Mitch, Ihart's not even stretching the floor. He just has to come out of the paint. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, damn, he's a threat because he can pass.
Oh, yes.
So he's saying, I'm not coming out here to shoot the 3. I'm going to move out of the block so I can give a clear lane to one of these guys that's going to cut, and I'm going to find him. So how he operates is more cerebral. So he's not getting it on a 3-point angle, but he's getting it on a high post that, I'm going to dish this ball. You just cut. I'm going to find you. So he's like a de facto point guard. I don't want to call him Jokic, but similar to the same kind of role plays for Denver. We see glimpses of this in the Knicks. It's just usually his is more back to the basket. Ihart's is, whereas Jokic he just functions like a forward. That's what
he's the point guard, man. He is. It's crazy.
I don't care what nobody says. He's a dope
I know.
Yeah, and but you see Ihart having that. What is the European attitude? This is what we need more Euros on the team. I always say that. But in looking at it, I'm all for that. If you look at how he operates, I mean, he's fantastic. I mean, I don't know how you can go back to Mitch unless you're just being overly sympathetic to loving the guy and his growth in New York. But we're talking basketball here. I tell everybody, I put my mom out of the starting lineup and been winning. So I have no sympathy for any player that blocks winning. And I just think with Ihart, you sign that dude. He fits here. He wants to be here. You got to pay somebody. Sign the damn dude.
What I'll say is when Robinson signed his contract, he signed one of those descending deals. So his money goes down each year that he's here. So I think he started, it was a 4-year, $60 million deal. It was average 15, but he started at 17. And next year it'll be 14 against the cap. So I'm wondering, I'm trying to think what I would be willing to pay him, Hartenstein, and be able to keep both of them at least for the short term, and maybe explore trading Robinson in some form if he can prove to be healthy or whatever going forward. If that's what they decide, if that's the route they decide to go and keep him, I agree with you. I feel this way in a lot of sports, and I understand salary cap makes things hard at times, but if you have players who either, as we talked about, you drafted and developed and they're showing something, you need to pay those guys. Yep. And then you need to pay the guys who took a chance on you when you were bad too, right? So, the Knicks they were a playoff team when he came here. So it's not like they were before. He was here before they were a playoff team. But still, people were kind of wondering what they were going to be, right? Was Randall really real? Or was, what's going to happen? And so signing him to me, he made a decision like, yeah, I'm gonna go. I want to go there. I want to play for the Knicks, and not because no other team wanted him. He was highly coveted. A lot of teams wanted to
Absolutely.
sign him.
Hmm.
So I feel like they owe it to him. I believe. I don't know. I believe they have his bird rights. So if they have his bird rights, they can sign him over the cap. So if they
Hmm.
wanted to do that, and then obviously flexibility. We keep hearing about Ev's contract, and we know they want to get rid of that thing. Isn't it funny that he's the guy we've been hearing about being traded for the longest, and he's
And
still here?
he's still here. He's
He's
still
still here.
here.
So
It
yeah,
is
I know.
Yeah, I think they, from what someone said, it might have been Cats who reported it. That's I usually only mess with a few of those writers anyway. But I think
He's
he
fantastic.
reported that Hart's range. I think Hart makes like 8 or 9 now.
He
He
makes
believes,
8.
yeah. So they believe that he's going to be in the 13 million range. Is what he's going to seek, which the Knicks can clearly pay that. It's just more so
Yeah,
that was the cap. This hard cap coming up, and are you locked in? But if they're playing at this level, because really, when you look at the Knicks' plight moving forward, it's about them supposedly getting this big star. This is what we hear about all the time.
oh, we gonna get to that. No.
If we're hearing that language and we're winning now, you better worry about who you got now on this team.
That's what
And
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I don't window shop. This ain't a 50 Cent video. I don't do no window shopping with Mace. This is not what's going down for me. It's like if you're winning and you're kicking someone's arse right now, then what you can do is try to improve your roster, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a star. When you hear about when the Knicks of the '70s, you hear Clyde often talk about their life changed when Bill Bradley came over and Dave DeBusschere came over. So
Yeah,
the stars of the league, they were the right fit for the team. So those are the things that the Knicks need to look into maybe adding, as opposed to, I mean, if these guys rock out for the rest of the year with this squad and say that, we don't know what the playoffs is always up in the air. We don't know what the results are going to be. But however,
right.
you've seen really solid success, and this guy's been your starting five. This time the guy at the 5 starting. What are you going to do? Go out and try to figure out somebody else to come fit this goofy ass system Tom Thibodeau runs, and then hope that they fit in, just pay the damn dude. I felt the same way
Yeah,
about Barrett, and I would have probably felt the same way about Quickly if they did. But like, well, they can play here. If somebody can play in New York, you need to lock them up. I don't care who you
yeah.
lock them up and
Had
keep because it's hard here.
had it gotten to the summer and they didn't know what to do with Quickly, I think they probably. I didn't want them to give him a big contract, but I think they probably would have paid him. Like I
Yeah,
do think it was heading in that direction. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. That to me is the thing. Like you said, if you guys want to play here and they've proven that they can handle it, those are the guys you want to keep because it's tough. It's a tough place to play. We know that.
yeah.
And this coach is a tough coach to play for. I mean, I keep saying, you know, I do think there was something, I do think both Barrett and Quickly kind of probably complained about what was going on, and that's why they're not here. And that's fine, right?
Yep.
But this coach, this is the point where the players start usually saying, okay, we're breaking our back for you. We're doing all this stuff for you. That's what I mean. These playoffs to me are very important for Thibodeau's future as coach. If the
Mm-hmm.
Knicks don't, they made the second, they got into the second round. If they don't get out of the second round this year, I don't think he'll be back. Joe says it all the time. He doesn't think he's going to live out the contract. I
Yeah.
don't think he'll be back. So they need to, in my opinion, they need to get out of the second round. Um,
Yeah.
and if they don't, we're
Yeah.
going to have a new coach next year. We
Right.
are. I don't know who it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't tell you. I still have holding out hope for Jay Wright. If you're gonna go all Villanova, bring in the guy who, yeah, right? Bring in the guy who put it together and bring the coach and who knows? I don't know. Looks like Steve Kerr might be available. I mean, who
he
knows,
might he might be the
right?
guy when I think about, like, because I mean we've talked a little bit candidly about Golden State situation. We know that it's that's real bad right now.
Yeah, they're just old. Really, they're just
Kirk,
old.
yeah, they're old. It's really just they've ran their course. That's all it is. It
Yeah,
happens in sports all the time. But yeah, I think Thibodeau. I think the Knicks are weird. We're talking about the sustainability of what they're doing now, and it looks great now. It looks great now because it's early. Teams haven't made any adjustments. I've spoken with you about OG. I love what the tenacity he brings, but my question mark is the O in the G. The offensive game. That's what his OG is. The offensive game. I'm wondering about the offensive game with this guy because, granted, I know everybody's gonna go, "Oh, he lit it up from 3." Yeah, but he did. He did more movement this time. But I get a poop bubble every time I watch him dribble because I'm like,
he had that one spin move. I saw the spin move.
He did. He had a spin. He had a Booker T spin-a-roni. Just
he
like
did. And he scored on it. He didn't look stupid or foolish. So,
and I'm hoping that this is the unlocking of the gate. That maybe he's nervous. I'm hoping that's what it is because there was some plays the 3 games prior. I'm like, dude, it's okay to be in your lane. Nobody asks you to switch lanes. Money in the thing, yelling out the windshield. We ain't want you none of that. Stay in your lane, dog, and just do what you do, which is you play defense because that old game was looking a little suspect. But like I
want
said,
to answer Craig.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, Craig, I said this in the chat the other day. It'd be one thing if this was new, like he was a new player.
Yeah.
And we would wait, but he's been in the league a long time. I think 7 years, 8 years, something like that. He's been in the league a long time, so I'm not going to relax, especially when the guy wanted a bigger role in the offense on the team that he was on, and they traded him.
That's the key thing. Right there.
So I'm not going to relax because they obviously they obviously saw it too. Like you might want a bigger role, but you can't do that. So we're not gonna. And I know they had to pay him, but they're gonna have to pay quickly too, right? If they want to keep him, and they traded for him. So
this is a question I always ask people when like what Craig bring out. I mean, valid. His opinion is valid either way. But my point is always ask people when you see teams like we look at OG. OG is a fantastic defensive player.
Yeah.
So don't you always got to ask yourself when teams have players and they go, I don't want to extend them now, and you don't got nobody.
I always do
back him up. So you got to say, well, you got a guy who's an elite defender. Many people put him up with. They think he's the best defensive player in the league. That's what the rumors and talks have always been about with OG Anunoby, and it might be very well true. But all the YouTubes I watched before he came here because I don't really see any Toronto games. But I would say, oh, what are they enamored about with this guy? And I've always watched his offensive stuff, the highlights, and I'm like, I didn't think they were even high or lights. I always thought they were like, dunks. I didn't see the kind of fluidity on the offensive end. So my question is when someone plays defense on him, what is he going to do? When defense tightens up in the playoffs, because you're going to a half-court game. Because right now what we're seeing is a lot of fluidity in the offense and sped up. But when you come to the playoffs, everything slows down. It becomes molasses syrup at that point. So you're going to ask yourself, can he do anything off the bounce? That's when you're going to quickly. We saw it happen to him. Quickly came up the bench and I was like, oh, quickly lights it up, blah, 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 blah. Then when teams know who he is and he comes in the game, they're like, you're not doing that, and that no more. We're taking away everything. I would say, what is basketball is about? What do you do when they take away what you're great at? That's
exactly.
That's it. The elite ones figure it out. They have a counter to the counter of the counter. But when you're a challenged player, off the cuff, on not being able to go left or right. We saw what happened with Julius. It's not Julius. Why does he get burned in the playoffs? They're like, he going left. He only got one spin move. And people dogged Denny Avia for saying the other night, he's like, he's easy to guard. He's just too strong. He was right. He is easy to guard. He's just too strong to stop.
Right.
But smart team, we saw, I'll never forget that one play. I'm going to recall back the play when the Lakers were playing Julius. It was AD and LeBron. And LeBron's IQ was obviously off the chart. Well, nobody will ever talk about that. Nobody can belittle that about him. He saw Julius catch the ball, him and AD, and he was like, look, go. You go. You go here, and I'm going here because he can't get that. He's not getting it off. The smart ones figure out what you can do. Great. That's my point. when you put OG into the lineup, if this is his off the bounce game in the playoffs, because I don't look for regular season, hell with that. We're talking playoff basketball. That's going to all change. Somebody's going to say, let's steal his lunch money. We're not letting him do anything.
Yeah,
We'll
I mean
bag.
Yeah, we know why they made the trade, right? We understand why they got him, and so far that's what he's been doing.
Yes,
So I'm not going to be sitting here and be like, oh well, he sucks. No, he doesn't. He's doing exactly what they want him to do.
exactly.
Shut down the perimeter guys, who's ever guarding, shut them down and hit the 3-point shots. That's what they want him to do. But we talked about this. We keep saying Brunson and Randall are going to be relied on even more now, and they have been. Their usage rate has gone up since the trade. So you have those two guys now. We keep saying, okay, who's going to be that third guy to step up? I think Dante can do it. I think we've started to see a little bit more from him. I think he can be that player. I think we all think Grimes has that skill to do that stuff. We always rave about his first step. He has a very quick first step. If he starts driving a little bit more, you have him there. But the guy we just traded for is the guy who, like I said he wants to show more of his offensive game. Like that's what he wants to do. Well, no one's holding you back. Like we're not saying no one's saying stop. We don't want to, but sometimes after you do a couple moves, you're like, okay, stop now. But but I mean, let's see it. If you have other things, show us what you got. This is the time, because they Knicks have right now. They have two guys who can score, Randall and Brunson. Every night they should give you, offense, because that's what they're known for. Both guys are offensive players. No one's ever going to put either one on defense, all defense team. So, so that's what they're there for. So they need somebody else now to step up. They don't have Barrett. They don't have Quickly. He was traded for those two guys. So it's very much an optic. People are going to look like, all right, what can you do now?
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you, man. I don't see it. I said it all the time when I watch him play. I think he has a fluid dribble, which is nice, but I don't know what he could do off of it. I don't see much there. I don't see any floaters or runners. I don't see, I don't see a two, couple dribbles in and pull up from 15. I don't see a mid range. I don't see any of this stuff. So I don't see a post up game. So I don't know what he has. But if you want a bigger role, you got to show you have a role.
I would, if anything, for me, I would think that the Knicks should have really considered that to be exactly what they were trading for, as a player who can do both things on both ends. I would be very worried if I was them, knowing I brought in I don't like this word. I always talk about it all the time. I don't like specialists. I don't want to hear about a specialist.
Me neither. I don't either.
Specialist that you're paying high-end money for. You're paid, like Craig said prior. iHeart's a basketball player. See, yeah. He's a basketball player. You put him in any situation, he's a basketball player at the end of the day. Right now, OG's a specialist that plays basketball. He has a specialty that he does at a high elite level, which, hey, but we're playing in a league that don't allow what he does to benefit your team the whole game. That's the whole thing. They don't want you defending anyone. He's going to foul out. Mark my words. If he was to play against Tatum or I don't know, Jimmy Butler or any of those dudes, because we've seen Randall. Randall ate his lunch as a Knick. When he was on Toronto, we had OG matchup. Randall just completely destroyed him. So my thing is this: get into the playoffs, all those hack fouls, all those touch fouls, playing in the half court, he's going to be fouled. He's going to be rendered useless because he's going to be asked to guard some of the stronger talents in the league. How much are they going to allow him to defend? And so now he has to be able to go back on the other end of the court and make them play defense. See, that's the matchup. Matchups don't go one way. Like, we're going to send out OG to go stop Tatum. Well, you might have 3 fouls and then you got 5 points. Then you didn't stop anybody. You're not a positive on the team at that point, because technically what makes a guy like Kawhi Leonard great is that he can give you 30, and he can stop you from ever getting 20. Those are the elite ones. That's what the Knicks should have been looking for when they got OG, knowing that because they gave up 35 points.
That's the thing, right?
You almost gave up 40 points off your team. I mean, I don't care how much Barrett looked clumsy and had a migraine, and dude still got 18 to 19 points a game. Quickly got 15. That's 34 points. That you're missing a guy who's now scoring probably 18 a game for you.
15, actually. I was just looking at the stats. So he's only giving them.
And this dude asked for $41 million. You need to drop that pipe.
He said he gave him a discount, right? Didn't he say give him a discount?
He better go get Steve Novak in a discount double check. Because let me tell you one thing, that dude better come with a damn coupon.
It's true.
Because $40 million for a guy who plays a position as a specialist. And like I said, this ain't an OG knock podcast.
No, not at all.
I'm forecasting down the future about playoffs is a different animal. But we at the petting zoo right now. We're not in there with the gorillas and the lions trying to eat up the jungle right now. And that's what's going to happen in the playoffs. Can he sustain enough to stop another guy and also score points on the other end before he fouls out? Because that's the question. Because right now the Knicks don't have any depth at small forward either. Let's just keep it a buck. Because Josh Hart I think he drank Julius's Gatorade last season when he was sporadic mentally, because that dude's complaining more than Julius now. Because there's games now, he's like, he's going to get a tech. When you hanging with Draymond Green, he's going to be teched out of a game too soon.
He is such a weird player. I mean, he's such he is very much the Energizer Bunny type player that, all effort, all hustle. That's how he plays. That's his game. And you definitely benefit having him on your team.
Yeah.
But when he's bad, he's bad. Yeah, when he's bad, you're like, whoa, get off the court. I don't even want to see you. Seriously, dude, get off. Go somewhere else.
And it's so weird because this is what we talked about when he first came. We saw the dynamic. I got in an argument with somebody on a thread about this, and they said, "Oh, Hart's great," and all this stuff. I said, "Yeah, I like what he was doing. I mean, granted, he came in, he changed the complexion of the Knicks. I don't got nothing against him, but I always told people, I said, what happens when teams put him on a scouting report? That's when you're going to know who this dude is. And somebody's like, oh, he's going to keep doing it. Look at the dude's career average. You don't tell me what he's going to do. Tell me what he did already. I always tell people, I don't go by what great year you had. I had about the great career you had. So what has your averages been during your career? Somebody knows who you are in the league. So my point moving forward was that when this guy gets figured out, how good is he going to be? And then he goes out into a game. We loved him for the rebounding and the pushing up the floor. That's really his game. It's rebounding and pushing pace, which is great. But when you can't do both of those things, and then you can't shoot great on top of it, what are we doing with you out there? Because right now you're out there because you graduated from Villanova. That's where you're out there now.
Right, he is, to me, he's an all-court player who can do a little bit of everything, but he's not elite at any one thing, right? He doesn't do anything great. It would be better for me if he was that player, but he was a great passer. That, and I'd be like, okay, that's the kind of guy we need. We need a guy like him. But he's just kind of really good at everything. He doesn't do anything great except hustle and effort, which is why fans love him, because he leaves everything out there. But he's a weird player. Like I said, I like him, I do, but man, there are times I watch him and I'm like, what do you even try? Stop! You can't do that. I'm like, that's not who you are. Why are you even trying to attempt that? Because it's just not going to work. I don't even want to see you do that ever again. Stop.
He's a light-skinned army knife. That's all it is. Them dudes too emotional. Yeah, they even got a pair of scissors in there, but nobody ever figured out how to work the scissors in the army knife.
You're right, but that's you can't tell him to stop being that way, because then he won't be an NBA player. So it's very it's a very thin line. And last year he was on his best behavior. But yeah, we've seen some cracks. We've seen some cracks in the in the facade this year. We've seen little cracks there
Yeah,
um with him. All right, so we have we keep hearing another move is coming. We keep
yeah.
hearing. So I actually want to discuss this because there's rumors all over the place. We've heard one from freaking Utah that Craig sent us, and I was like, "Who the hell? Where'd this come from? This came like, like what the hell? I don't even understand what's going. Utah, and then the players they were talking about was like Clarkson, and who else was in the mix? I'm like, I don't want to trade for that guy. He's like 50. I don't want him.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
are you doing?
yeah. Pump the brakes.
So it seems that we know Joe. Obviously, he's not here. We know Joe thinks it's going to be Dejounte Murray. I think um, those are people. There's a group of people that think he's the guy. There's a group of people apparently within the front office who also seems to think that that's the player they should go get.
Yeah.
My guess is it's Worldwide West, but I don't know. Um,
Mhm.
that
I would.
that's yeah, that sounds like the guy who would want to bring Murray to the Knicks. Um, I've been really strong in the chat saying I really don't want any of these dudes. I'm not even trying to be funny.
Yeah. No,
Um, when I say that, I don't know if the other move that there is going to happen is going to be this season. Um,
mhm.
I think this is the team we have. Maybe they might, add a player here or there. Maybe they find, a small deal to kind of round things out a bit. But I really don't see that other move. Do you have any like of all the things that we've heard, anything kind of grab you that you're like, oh yeah, we should do that? Because there's nothing there for me.
Hell no. I'm going to tell you. One, I do believe if we follow the same pattern that we've always followed with this front office, they make a one in-season move and they move forward with that player. We've seen it with Josh Hart. We saw it with Derrick Rose. We now see it with OG Anunoby. You know, I, you know, I've said before. I said, what is the plan B? Because I don't think there ever was a plan B. The plan was to get a superstar, and I think OG Anunoby became like that answer to do something different with the team, knowing that quickly he had his pending free agency coming, and I just didn't think they knew what to do with him. That's really what it came down to. So they kind of attached him as an additional added thing to RJ Barrett, instead of doing a draft pick, which we're hearing Toronto said that they thought he was worth 2 first-round picks, meaning quickly, but we won't get into that. But needless to say, I don't see where there could be another move to be made, first and foremost. And then when you listening to the list of players that you would be trying to get, like I think somebody talked about Colin Sexton was one of those things. I think from
Yeah,
the thing, we move into the DeJounte Murray. You and I have talked about this. What's the difference between him and Trae Young? Absolutely, other than maybe Brunson
yeah,
has hair. I mean, this is really what and in fact, someone brought up, they said they believe Brunson touches the ball more than Trae, let alone less than Trae. So, and DeJounte is not an off-ball player. We're seeing why it's not working. The minute that trade happened, I said, how the hell is that going to work in Atlanta? Because DeJounte needs the rock. He needs to be at least the de facto point guard at some point who's going to, defend your point of attack first and foremost, and then be a distributor. That was his job in San Antonio. So it's like, well, are we going to take the ball out of Brunson's hand? Why would you do that at this point? Yeah, you'd want a better point guard technically, but your best player, you're going to now tell him go off the ball, and we're going to let this guy who probably, he's going to play more slowed down. Literally, he's got to be more methodical. He's not a great shooter from the outside, so we can get off DeJounte. Sexton, I like if he's playing backup, if anything, but you're going to get rid of Deuce. You got to worry about the ebbs and flows and the fit and the chemistry on this team, which we do find is very important. The cohesion is great. The moves that the Knicks need to make is probably for a backup small forward. That's really what they need because that's where the depth issue to me is. Because now they got Precious Achua. He can come in and fill in a little bit for the 4, give some spot minutes for Randall to get some rest. But none of those moves that I've heard, what are they supposed to do for the Knicks? Like this is you wanting to basically move to get a name. Like, oh, we got DeJounte. Does he fit? I always go back. Does he fit? And I don't think he's ever fit. He'd fit if we didn't get Brunson. Then like get that dude. That makes a lot of sense. But the Knicks fans, Eric, and I did it with the guys. I did a blind stat. I don't know the stats now offhand, but the blind stat. I said, would you go and chase this guy in free agency? And the collective thing was no. And those numbers were DeJounte Murray's. Blind. That was a blind thing I threw. Everybody's like, no, why would we want to get that guy? I'm like, well, everybody wants him. And those are DeJounte. Go look at his numbers. I'm not making it up. Look at his numbers and tell me, do you want to put him next to Brunson? That's all I want to know. You can't shoot. You didn't like Barrett? If you didn't like RJ Barrett, what he was doing as far as shooting off the ball, you don't go get DeJounte Murray. You don't get Colin Sexton. He's a tough kid. I like his game. He's gritty and grimy. Probably fit great in New York. But we're talking about another guy who likes to pat the ball and is an ISO player. Is that befitting the team that you're bringing off the bench? Do you want that guy to be your lead? We just got to bring Emmanuel quickly for the same reasons. He's an ISO heavy player. And you could have kept him if you were going to go get Colin Sexton. So I know Craig brought up DeRozan. DeRozan, that's a tease, because you're talking about a bigger guard. You're talking about a guy who can finish in the paint. He plays defense. He's got a hellified mid-range game. But,
awesome.
But you look at the team, what's working right now? You need a guy like a taller version of Ragu to play next to Brunson. That what you see from Dante is what you need if you're going to upgrade at the 2. You need a guy who could stretch and then create off the bounce as a combo. You got to be able to have that type of guy play next to Brunson who could also play great defense if you're moving off of DiVincenzo. And there's not one player I've seen on that list that I would go, oh, man, we got to go get him. Give up Ev's contract. We got to go get that dude. I've not seen anyone on that list. You might can pick up a free agent somewhere or somebody off the, to maybe bolster the depth of your team. But, if you got like somebody like maybe I don't know, Gallinari, some kind of player maybe you want to bring in that can give you some playoff experience maybe. But I don't see a big move, and nor do I see a move that I would make. But who would you? I mean, who? There's nobody impressed me that I say we got to go get that dude, and we're winning now without them. If this team right now maxes out the way that they're playing and they can be consistent, this streak is going to end at some point. We all know that. But I'm comfortable rolling this team out and seeing what they do in the playoffs because I think anything else you might be wasting Ev's contract because I believe from what the rumors were is that they may hold on to Ev until the draft and maybe use his contract to get somebody bigger. That's why I don't think he's been moved yet.
That would be a smart move. I would be down for something. I do think, like you brought up Gallinari, I do think he's the type of guy that would help.
Yeah.
Off the bench. They don't one thing they don't have off the bench really is, especially since they moved Dante forward. I mean, Grimes can shoot, but I wouldn't say they have shooters off the bench.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's what Gallo can do.
Yep.
So if they're looking for a small move, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy I talked about wanting and I think would fit perfectly for what we need. I said you brought up Denny. Obviously, he's not available, but he's the type of player that they need. Someone who can do a little bit of everything, who's, is an all-court player. He's the type of player that they need. Craig, this is not a bad choice, but I don't think Atlanta would trade with us, to be honest. So,
he might not want to play for Tibbs either. He played for him one time before.
Yeah, I do. The Bogdanovich from the Detroit one, I thought was possible. Again, his age scares me.
Yeah.
But they're saying he's not available. So I read that. So I'm like, okay, I don't understand why they keep holding on to him for. I don't think they're making the playoffs.
They got plans to win.
Right? So wow. So I mean, just look at it. I'm checking through the scores now, and San Antonio is playing Detroit. You have a 5-win team against a 3-win team, and San Antonio is blowing them out, and Detroit is at home. Like, it's a mess. Yeah, and Wemby has a triple-double. Yeah, man. Like, And I'm looking at their stats and stuff from their players. They're not playing bad. Like they're even Kevin Knox has kind of found a role there, and maybe that's why they're so bad. They're relying on Kevin Knox. Maybe that could be why.
Any team with Kevin Knox is going to lose.
I have no man. That team makes no sense. It
No,
doesn't.
it makes absolutely. I think Cade Cunningham is out, but I don't. It didn't matter when he was in. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whoever's who's ever on that team, they just got they're the rabbit with 3 legs and then get their lucky foot. That's really what it came down to, because it's just Buffy's friend. Is that what
Spike.
But yeah, I think the Knicks moves have to be. You should be bolstering for the playoffs. Signing someone that's a vet. It would be ideal if we did have a mellow type that can come in and be a veteran presence off the bench to kind of solidify when you need some timely buckets and some stretch shooting. I think that's the kind of move that the Knicks are going to make. But I don't see a player right now that I would forfeit assets for, because that's what you're asking. For DeJounte Murray, they gave up 3 first-round picks to get him.
I know.
So Atlanta's going to say, hey, you got to pay to play, which DeJounte would have to is almost like an all-in move if you were to get him now. That would be one of your all-in moves, and
that's it.
That don't make no damn sense.
That would be it. This would be your team going forward. That would be the 3 guys they're going to war with. Those 3 guys. And I do like him as a player, but I don't. If it's not working with him and Trae Young, I can't. Like I said, I can't see it working with him and Jalen Brunson either. You need a guy who can handle the ball, but doesn't need the ball. That's what you need. You need a guy who doesn't need the ball, not a guy like OG who doesn't need because he doesn't need the ball. But they need someone who can handle, create off the dribble, do things like that. Maybe give you 15 and 6 rebounds. 6 assists, maybe like 5 rebounds, something like that. Plays good defense, can hit the 3-point shot. They need an all-around player like that. Because that's really, in my opinion, what they're missing. They're missing a guy who can, when Jalen and Julius are overwhelmed a little, or or playing too much, or this guy could come in and run the team and get people in order and put them where they need to be. They need someone like that. I don't know who that player is, because if I did, I'd be screaming for him. I can't think of one right now. Like, I've heard people mention, who I don't even think he's available, but like Tyler Hero. I've heard people mention, what's his name on Houston? I'm blanking. Jesus. Hold on, what's his name? Oh, Aaron Holiday. Someone has mentioned them to try to acquire him. But Houston's better than people thought. So
they need a Tyrese Maxey kind of player. I hate to tell the Knicks fans, they need somebody who can play off ball and can score maybe when they can't get another scorer going in a starting lineup. I don't think him to be a point guard, but that may be the kind of off guard I'm talking about, that they could maybe utilize a player like that. But there's not one available that's worth you going right now that says the team is saying, I'm willing to give up assets. I'm willing to trade him. I'm going to give up assets for him. I don't see that in any player. There was somebody I was thinking about the other day. Let me think about who that player.
I want them to trade for this guy. I don't know if Chicago would trade him, but I want them to trade for Patrick Williams. I feel like he's kind of lost on that team, and I don't know. They're a mess. To me, they're another team that could be better. Like, they should be better, in my opinion. They have enough veteran guys on that team where they should be a better team. They're 6 games under 500, or no, 4 games under 500.
Jordan Poole.
So, God, Craig, are you serious right now? Jordan Poole? Did you? I keep thinking of that one shot he took, spun around at the 3-point line, shot the ball. Wasn't even on line with the basket. Like the basket was here. He shot it clear this way.
Yeah,
Didn't even hit the backboard. It was complete air ball.
it's all right.
I was like, what? I'm like,
It's
what? I was like, I would have cut him right then and there. I'd have been like, we'll eat your salary. Go to China, figure it out, and come
it,
back.
it is such a hot. The NBA is a hot bag of garbage right now. I hate to say that. I used to love. I love basketball. I've always loved basketball, but man, there's some terrible teams that like Washington general terrible teams right now in the NBA, especially Washington. When you look at Washington, you look at Detroit. I'm not going to put San Antonio on that because I think San Antonio just needs experience right now.
Yeah,
But
they planned on this. They're doing yes.
they play tough basketball. I like them. I mean, they beat Phoenix twice back to back, so it's not like they're like some chumps. But like bad basketball. Portland, Chicago, you can throw in there. There's just some eyesores in the league, and they're talking about Charlotte. Like they need to contract the league. They don't need to expand. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking. Silver can't read the room. Even if it had some books in front of him, he couldn't read the room on the wall because it's just terrible what the league looks like. Like some of these guys, Golden State right now is a bad team. I mean, when we keep it 100, they're a bad team with a bad cancerous player on it as well. So the league is bad. I don't know. The Knicks. I don't think the Knicks have another move they should make that they are implored to make because there's no need right now. Like I was going to bring up that question, whether or not, what is it that the Knicks really are? The Knicks, what are they in the market for? Right now, they're solid at a lot of positions. Outside of height is the only thing that is really my concern with this team. What do you really add to this team? Because you got to figure out the coach nobody's really cracking the lineup easily with this coach. So he got rid of Taj. He's basically got depth at all the positions other than height. I don't know what you would add to this team right now moving forward to make them a better playoff team, because that's what you're really prepping for right now, a better playoff team.
Yeah. Well, Craig, that would help. But I think they could also use a player like Gordon Hayward, someone like that. Someone,
yeah,
right?
That's what I was thinking about too. Yeah,
like someone like that who savvy veteran, can do all the things I said. He can handle the ball, help the team.
There you go.
Someone like him, and he should be available. Like I don't see why, he wouldn't be, and I'm sure he doesn't want to play for that 8-win team that he's playing for right now. So. Yeah, so I think it's just a matter of what are you giving up at that point? What are you trading for him? And I don't know if the Knicks would want to give up what it might take because I don't know what Charlotte's going to be looking for. To be honest, I have no idea. But he is that player to me that would come in for a team like the Knicks and be able to do all the things I said. And he can score from out. He can score. He can create. He can rebound. He does all the little things very, very well. At one time, he did them elite, but injuries have sucked away some of his ability. Mm-hmm. But I mean, shoots 37% from three. 46 from the field. Efficient player. Averages five rebounds, 5 assists. Yeah,
he would make them play off that league. I think that's the thing that I don't. They look at what he's Charlotte, but if you add that kind of depth, if he stays healthy, we're talking about health obviously being the biggest concern. You put that dude in your lineup somewhere, say it's off the bench. I don't even care. He don't got to even start. If that guy is on your bench with those other players that you have on your bench, you're kicking someone's ass. And you're kicking it very well. Yeah.
I would definitely, I would tell the second, I'd probably put him in the second unit. I'd probably put him off the bench and be like, all right, when we play the second unit, it's your show. You run. You handle, you run it. Yeah, you do that's your show. Don't worry. Like McBride and Grimes, they'll help out, and obviously they're there, but it's your show. You're the guy we need handling things. And because even then, if you bring the starters back in, you could play him.
Yeah.
With them. You could
He's a
play him
fit.
at two guard. Yeah, you could play him and OG together. They can, you could do that. I don't think it'd be
That,
a problem.
yeah, see that's when and see that's an upgrade from the Gallo story.
Yeah,
Someone like I said, Melo, somebody like Hayward, because he's the IQ's there, the ability's there. He might not be the elite level Hayward, but
he
you don't
wanted
need.
to come here too. Remember, he wanted to come to the Knicks.
He's Thibodeau's a big fan from what they say. So
Yeah,
that would be one of the. Well, we hear about Woj. What did Woj say? Woj said, and he's more connected to Leon than anyone because he's also CAA. He said the Knicks are looking for a person that the team won't want to keep that's a playmaker because of salary cap reasons. They're looking for a playmaker at the deadline. I mean, at the trade deadline. That's who they're going to look for, and a bigger move in the offseason. Hayward fits that criteria when you think about it because he's a free agent. They're not going to do it. They're not going to keep him. It's just what are you wanting from him? That would require, I think, Ev probably to be included in that trade. I don't know who you would. I mean, I don't know if Ev makes enough money.
This is his last season too, so it'd be perfect.
That would be the kind of guy you bring in to say we're getting out of the second round. We're going to get out of the second round if this guy stays
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that to me is, he's that player. I couldn't think of it, but I brought up Charlotte and I was like, it's Hayward. That's the player that I think would make the difference in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So there you go. There you go, Knicks. We endorse that move.
Yeah, we will take that. Let us be the GMs for a couple weeks here, And
I think Joe would endorse it too. I don't know, but I think he would be. That's what we'd be down for. Wait a minute. I'm looking at Charlotte's team roster. They have a player named Leaky Black.
Oh wow, he has a problem. We can't fix that problem.
His parents not like him? Like, what's the problem?
Some condition.
I was checking to see if it was like a nickname. No, that's his name. Don't call me racist, Craig. I'm keeping it real right now. Keeping it real.
Let me tell you, I know I'm not racist, and I'm gonna joke about that one.
That's hysterical.
I don't
know. Honestly, if I met this guy, I'd give him a hug. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, his parents must have been plumbers. That's all I can tell you, because I don't know
what. Why did he mustn't play much, or he mustn't have played. Yeah, he doesn't play much. That's why I'm like, how come he went to North Carolina? How did I not know his name? I watch college basketball.
I've never heard.
Wow.
I've never heard that name before in NBA.
Oh, now who's racist, Craig? Now who's racist? Look at that comment. No, now who's the racist one?
You can also just pull out Marion Barry on that one. He was named after he dropped the pipe.
Jesus. Oh, sorry guys. I didn't mean for the show to go off the rails, but I saw that name and I had to call it out. What the hell?
Yeah,
one thing, leaky is never good, right? That's one thing we could all agree. If something is leaky,
yeah,
it's not good. Not a good thing.
That's a Roto-Rooter moment. That's
oh man.
What the hell was his parents on? You do need a hug.
Seriously. Dude, if you ever, you probably would never see this, but if you ever do, like if somehow this catches on and maybe people push it, goes viral, I will give you a hug. You may not want it, but I'll give you one. I'm honest. Yeah. Keep it real.
How was he growing up? Leaky! You know, I mean, Leaky, come in here. I don't know. Can't you ever, what the hell was his name? Leak? What was his nickname? They're gonna cancel me.
I can't, like, what, pipes? They call them pipes? Leaky Pipes Black? Like, what? What are we doing here? I don't even know.
Well,
Craig, his name is not Malik. It is Leaky. I looked it up. Leaky is his name. It's not a nickname. Man.
Oh,
Oh. Well, on that note, I think we could shut this one down. But yeah, we covered a lot of stuff.
Who's gonna leak this to the press?
Here we go.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
All right, you know what, Craig? Just so you think I'm being funny, I'm gonna actually send you. I'm gonna put the link in the chat so now you could go read it. I'm gonna link people to it.
Link it.
You can see it. Try to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. See, look, you can even see it in the writing. It says Leaky Black. All right, we've lost control of this show.
Definitely.
Which is crazy because I'm the one controlling it right now. So I don't know how this happened, but all right. So,
oh damn.
Yeah, there's no back to I don't see anything happening. But Gordon Hayward, that's the dude. That's the guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy. Yes,
we need that dude to come here and help make this playoff push. That's a good one. That's exactly fits.
It's what they don't have, right? Like that's what they don't have.
And that's the key thing when you're talking about like DeJounte and all. We have those guys. You have a player in that position. What you need to do is find someone that you don't have to add to the depth, and they make you tougher long term. That's really the kind of player you want on the Knicks. I mean, we're seeing the difference with iHeart coming in doing something Mitch does not do very well at all. And look at how that dynamic took off when you look at where this team is now, 5-0. Like I said, iHeart is a huge part of why they're 5-0. So you can imagine a guy who's coming in and fitting in seamlessly as OG did. Gordon Hayward could definitely be that kind of player, can come in and fit in seamlessly and just give you that kind of depth that you need.
Yes. The large Mormon population in New York, Craig, would love it.
Well, because I know I love him. In New York, that'd be a good.
He's not even Mormon. That's the thing.
No, that's what I'm like going to. Is it Utah?
He played in Utah, yes, but he's not Mormon.
I didn't think so.
No, he's not. All right, Ty, tell them where they can find you.
Clearly hanging out with Leaky in North Carolina. I'm not doing anything with Leaky. You can find me at Genius Scribble on Go Give It To You channel. Also, our fan page, Facebook, All Knicked Up. Catch my in-game recaps. Come and engage with us, man. I keep telling anybody they want to come on and get a little bit of this smoke. Come on and join your peoples right here. We'd love to chat up with you guys and get at you. You got an opinion about players that we talk about that you don't like how we talked about them. Hey, we're here. You just got to get a camera.
It's true.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Every laptop has a camera now, so if you have a laptop,
unfold that damn thing.
Come on the show.
The Geek Squad, whatever you got to get all geeked up. Come on and join your boys. Chop it up. Any subject about basketball. It could be Knicks or I know Jonathan Clark would love to talk about LeBron all day, so we can bring it back.
Jesus. Yeah, Craig, it's funny you brought him up because I was going to talk about him again. But I'll just kind of say it like this for him. If you're going to critique a team, know the team. If you claim to be a fan of the team, know the team. Don't sit on a freaking dais on NBA Tonight or wherever the hell the show is called on ESPN and say you've never heard of Isaiah Hartenstein. What is
it's embarrassing.
And then he keeps talking about people are asking him about the OG trade, and he did the whole thing on his own show about I like the trade, I like the move, but they still don't. They still need that one guy, and the guy he keeps going back to is Donovan freaking Mitchell. Like, what do we? What they beat him last year.
Brunson's busted his ass twice. Let's just keep it
Yes,
above.
like I don't want to hear it. Like and I liked him. I wanted them to draft him. I still like him as a player. He's not a fit for this team. He doesn't fit what the Knicks do. You cannot. Brunson needs the ball. He needs the ball. Randall needs the ball. You can't have three guys who need the ball, and he's gonna hog that crap out of the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what he does. Look what he did to Garland. He did it to Garland in Cleveland. Evan Mobley has stunted offensively because he never gets shots. So stop bringing I understand his thing because his shtick, obviously he wants us to comment, to watch. He wants Knicks fans to get mad at him because people hate watch and things like that. He gets views. That's his thing. That's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, that works for me if you're not a fan of the team. But if you're telling me you're a fan of the team, I expect you to know about the Knicks.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't. And I don't know, man. I used to have respect for him. I used to respect his hustle. He got where he was. He was a writer. You know, he got an opportunity to be a personality. He took the ball and ran with it. I think he's a clown, but people watch him and like him. So he's winning. He's winning in life. Like, what can I say? You're winning. So congratulations.
Yeah.
But one thing I'll say about Knicks fans, I think it's overblown how Knicks fans are a smart fan base, but we are a smart fan base.
Yeah.
And we do not take kindly to other fans who say shit. I'm saying shit. Who say shit and then don't even know the players on the team they're talking about.
Most annoying thing. It's the most annoying thing. Yeah, because I'm gonna just piggyback a little bit off of that. The one thing about Knicks fans is we're real fans. We talk crap about our players. Don't get me wrong, but we're not gonna let you talk crap about our players and not be informed about what you're talking about. We can spread enough negative fertilizer to grow our own vegetables in New York about our players. And if you're correct in who you're talking about, what we've all seen on I call it the extra small Enos network, that they come out and they talk about players, and it's like, well, we even see it on TNT or whatever. You see guys come out and they talk about the Knicks, but you're talking about, like, you see even Gilbert Arenas. You're talking about the totality of an old regime from the Knicks, and all of a sudden you culminate that into what's going on now. That you're not watching the Knicks. And the same thing with Stephen A. You're not watching the Knicks if you don't know who the players are. You can't link them even in your you're tagging players that are under the wrong tag, and when you're trying to congratulate them on now being the players that you're willing to accept as being good in New York. Dude, you was a reporter in school. You in college, you wasn't hooping. You carried clipboards. Let's keep it a buck. You're not that dude to be talking about other dudes as that dude. And then to make it worse, you're the worst mouthpiece for the Knicks. Because all that Knicks propaganda will never get us a star, because you clearly don't know what the hell you've been talking about what a star is. Every time he makes a prediction, you can also put it as an L if he says it's going to be a win, because you're going to lose. He don't know what the hell he's talking about.
True.
The game, if you want to celebrate and make New York better, then shut your damn mouth about what the Knicks are not. Because right now they're a hell of a team. They've been a hell of a team for the last several years, being very respectful, bringing respect back to the Garden. Have they won something big? No. But last year, if you had to question who Jalen Brunson was after last year and saying you need a star, then your ass don't know what you're talking about, because the Knicks got a star. The Knicks question is, do they got a complimentary piece that help him when times get tough? And that is the issue with the Knicks right now. It's not about Brunson. Brunson has been the one thing we can check off. Be like, well, we got that dude.
Yeah.
The question is, who's the other dudes is going to ride with him? And now that falls on the Julius Randles. The damn shame is a country boy from, I think he's out of Texas, Perkins, knows more about the Knicks than the guy from Queens who claims that he's been a lifelong fan. Because Kendrick Perkins, shout out to you, bro, because you were the one that he's the only lone media guy I've seen on any of the networks who like, oh, the Knicks are good. And they're valid. He validated. He's the one of the few people to put a stamp on us. And even right now, he's sitting back gloating like, I told you who was coming. So big shout out to that dude. But Steven, you can kick rocks barefoot in the snowstorm for all I care.
Yeah, man. Again, he used to, like, when I was younger, I thought he was entertaining, but now I'm just like,
Complete ass.
Yeah, he is. He really is. I can't fathom watching him, listening to him. Like when I hear him on something, I'm like, oh, this guy again. Like I don't even.
You know what he is? He's one of them ugly dudes. And because of his money, some girl looked at him. See, that's what it comes down to. Keep it a buck. Somebody told him he was cute, and they lied because he got money. Because when you look that busted and your take is that busted, you're an ugly dude. That's all I got to say about him. And
yeah,
he's being cute, propped up, talking about, oh, I wear Tom Ford. Well, you look like you got hit by a Ford. I mean, this is just keeping it a buck. Dude, shut your mouth. Those kind of dudes are the kind of ones that people see in public and want to run up on them because it's like, stop talking that much smack about a team that you claim to love. But you're just an ass clown out there, just opening your mouth with your whole agenda. You're talking about you want the Knicks to be better. You don't, because you would have no show. You want to get on there and complain like you're the only butthurt Knicks fan, like ever. Like, oh, you've been through more trauma than everybody. Dude, if you're over 40, you've been traumatized by the Knicks. Everybody.
When he and Spike said that they were rooting for Boston,
yeah, done.
I was kind of like, okay, I don't ever want to hear either of you talk about the Knicks again. Like, I'm a Knicks fan first. I've always liked players on Boston. I can say that. There's players on Boston that I've admired and liked, but never in my life have I ever rooted for them to win anything.
Yeah, hell to that.
So I know if you're a true Knicks fan, that's one team. I say them and the Bulls and the Heat and probably the Pacers. I think those are the four teams, because of the time I grew up in, are the teams that I'm like, I hope you never win a damn thing again for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So, and every Knicks fan, I think, our age, or and even like the older Knicks fans, I'm sure they would throw like Philly in there and all other teams, right? But
Lakers,
yeah, and I don't like the Lakers either, so throw me with them too. I don't like them either. But yeah, I can't. And then you're supposed to be our two most notable fans, our most renowned fans, and you're rooting for Boston?
Never.
I'm good, brother. Thank you. I'm
Never. Like you hear Clyde talk about the animosity. He always says he respects Boston, but his whole thing is about kicking them in the mouth, no matter when it is. And being a Yankee fan, you already know the drill. We don't like no beans, no baked beans, no pinto beans, no Beantown. So for anybody to come out and ever, I have a hard time. And then Boston do got some players that I'm whatever, they are good players, but I have such a hard time when I see that green uniform. I'm like,
yeah, I love Tatum. I've said it from the beginning. I love Tatum. He's a fantastic player.
Too. I don't even got an issue with him personally.
But it's really hard. Yeah, it's like really hard when I watch it. He plays well. I'm like, oh yay! Like it's like,
damn, that dude's good with his kid. He's got a cute kid. I'm like,
it's so tough. It's just tough.
It's tough. I can't like you, dude. You're good people. You can tell that, but no, on that court, the enemy. Screw that.
All right, sorry for my little detour about Stephen A. Everybody, but. I had to get it out there. Craig, you goaded me into that one, and I took the bait. So anyway, if you guys want to catch me, you see at finally33. I'm on Twitter at all_Nick_up is the show handle. I'm also visible on the All Nicked Up page on Facebook. Ty does excellent post game reviews, so I like those and comment on those guys, interact with us there. It's a good way to start conversation and for us to learn the fans who watch us and who follow us on the page. It'd be a really good way for us to get to interact with you guys. over there. I also do a show called Straight Outta Gotham at straight_O_G on Twitter. It is a fandom pop culture podcast. We talk about comic book movies. We talk about um, mostly movies, horror genre, all the TV shows out, all the stuff that's going on. We don't cover the awards though, so we're not going to be doing an award show. But we try and just give you the news and entertain you while we're doing it. So check that out. Our podcast is on anywhere you can listen to a podcast: Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Google Podcasts, all over the place. Check us out over there. I think that's it. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching the show. Much love to all of our fans. For Ty, I'm Eric. You are watching. Sorry, I was going to say Straight Outta Gotham. You're watching All Nicked Up. We'll see you next week.
New York, baby.